Howdy folks. Today's educational journey is going to take us through how American courts have shaped the way police use force, culminating in the recent landmark Barnes v. Felix decision in 2025. Decided on May 15th of this year, this case marks a turning point, but its roots go back decades. We'll explore the key rulings that built this framework, break down the use of force continuum, and unpack the new totality of circumstances standard. By the end, you'll see how courts judge force today and what it means for officers and citizens. Now let's get educated. Now it all began in 1985 with Tennessee versus Garner. And I know some critics and people are going to argue that that's not the starting point of this, but it is. This case set critical limits on deadly force. The Supreme Court ruled that officers can't just shoot a fleeing suspect unless they have probable cause to believe the person poses a significant threat of death or serious injury to the public. This came from a case where a Memphis officer killed a 15-year-old boy running from a burglary, establishing that force must match the danger. It was a foundational step, though it focused only on deadly force, leaving other uses of force unaddressed for the time being. Now, 4 years later, in 1989, Graham v. Conner explained that foundation for us. The courts decided that all police use of force must be objectively reasonable, judged by the totality of circumstances at the time. Factors like the severity of the crime, the suspect's imminent threat, and their level of resistance became the yardstick. This case stemmed from a diabetic man roughed up during a mistaken arrest, highlighting that force can't go beyond what's necessary. It's become the bedrock standard, but courts across the country struggle to apply it consistently, unfortunately. Now, this evolution progressed in 2007 with Scott v. Harris, where video evidence played a pivotal role. Officers ended a high-speed chase by forcing a car off the road. The courts upheld the actions based on dashcam footage showing the driver's recklessness. This ruling emphasized that courts can rely on visual records to assess the full context, not just officers' testimony, setting a precedent for body cameras today. It reinforced the totality approach, though some critics still lean towards narrow interpretations. In 2012, Shekleton v. Eichenberger from the 8th Circuit added another layer. The courts limited excessive force against non-threatening suspects, ruling that slamming a compliant suspect on the ground violated the Fourth Amendment. This case showed that even non-deadly force must be proportionate, aligning with the growing emphasis on the entire encounter. It built momentum towards a broader standard, even as regional differences persisted. The trend of defining these cases continued in 2014 with Plumhoff v. Rickard, where officers fired on a fleeing driver after a dangerous chase. The courts upheld the deadly force, considering the full context of the pursuit, not just the final shots. This reinforced the totality approach, suggesting that the lead up to force matters as much as the moment it's applied. Yet circuits like the Fifth held on to moment of threat rule, focusing only on the instant of perceived danger, creating a legal split. And this brings us to the most recent ruling of Barnes v. Felix, decided this year on May 15th. This case arose from a 2016 traffic stop in Houston, Texas, where Officer Roberto Felix shot Ashton Barnes after jumping onto his moving car. The Fifth Circuit had justified the shooting based on the 2 seconds Felix was on the car, ignoring his own escalation. But the Supreme Court unanimously rejected the moment of threat approach, mandating a totality of circumstances analysis under the Fourth Amendment. This ruling aligns with Graham's intent, requiring courts to consider everything leading up to the force, not just the moment of it. It vacated the lower court's decision and sent it back for review, raising questions about officer-created risks. Now let's break down the use of force continuum, a practical guide officers follow to escalate force. It starts with officer presence, simply being there to de-escalate with authority. Next comes verbal commands, directing the suspect to comply. If that fails, soft techniques like grabs or pressure points are used, followed by hard techniques like strikes or takedowns. Non-lethal tools, such as tasers, come next, and deadly force is the final tier. The continuum demands that force match the threat level, a principle now judged more comprehensively under Barnes. Applying the continuum, let's walk through its stages. Presence and verbal commands are the first steps. Officers establish control without physical contact. Soft techniques involve minimal force, like holding an arm, while hard techniques escalate to physical control, like a takedown. Tasers are a non-lethal way to subdue, and deadly force like gunfire is an absolute last resort. Graham and Barnes require that each step be reasonable, with courts now examining the whole encounter. For instance, skipping earlier tiers and jumping to a taser or a shot prompts the question, was the escalation warranted? The totality of circumstances standard, solidified by Barnes recently, includes several key elements. First, the severity of the crime. Minor offenses justify less force than serious crimes. Second, the immediate threat. Does the suspect pose clear danger? Third, the suspect's actions. Are they complying, resisting, or fleeing? Fourth, the officer's conduct. Did their actions heighten the situation? Fifth, the encounter's duration. How long did events unfold before force was used? I think these are important. Finally, factors like suspect size, gender, and age, as noted in Kingsley v. Hendrickson from 2015, must be weighed in the totality of things. This holistic view ensures force isn't judged in isolation, and cops can't create situations where they can use force. Over the years, these cases have built a robust framework. Garner set the deadly force limit. Graham broadened it to all force. Scott added video evidence. Shekleton curbed non-lethal excess. And Plumhoff reinforced totality. Kingsley in 2015 added suspect-specific factors, ensuring force considers individual context. Barnes now ties it all together, demanding officers document their entire approach before force is used. Departments may need to update their training, focusing on de-escalation before escalation, especially in routine traffic stops. In today's modern legal landscape, Barnes transforms everything. Officers face greater scrutiny now. Courts can weigh how their actions contribute to the need for force. Citizens gain stronger Fourth Amendment protections. As officer-created jeopardy can be challenged. Legal cases under Section 1983 are going to be rising a lot, I have a sneaking suspicion. Though qualified immunity protects officers if the law wasn't clear at the time, this shift could influence all circuit courts, which may move away from narrow interpretations. Now looking ahead, the impact hinges on implementation. Will training reflect this broader standard? Will body cameras, as in Scott, become even more essential? Barnes could reduce excessive force in minor encounters, but split-second decisions will still test officers. This May 2025 ruling, fresh and evolving, marks a pivot. Force is judged by the full story now. It's a call for accountability of all police officers, built on 40 years of legal evolution. Check the description for a timeline of these cases. I'm going to link everything. It's important that you know about this so you understand your rights. And for those of you that like this kind of thing, how does Barnes change your view on use of force? Tell me in the comments. If you didn't use the like button by now, you should. Thanks for watching.